with my aloof CEO Willow. I've been in a fake marriage for 2 years, and the contract is finally about to expire. According to the agreement, she'll give me $50 million as divorce compensation. On the day of signing, with my heart racing and my hands trembling, I couldn't help but scream inside, "Sign it, hurry up and sign it. My Maldives sunshine, beaches, and bikini beauties are all waiting for me." But who knew Willow's hand suddenly stopped. "Come on, sister, don't mess things up at such a crucial moment." "President Liu," Lawyer Lin asked, "is there any problem?" Willow Liu ignored him and just stared straight at me. "Don't tell me she found out I secretly drank her precious red wine last week." "No, impossible. I clearly refilled that 1982 Lafite with some cheap stuff." Chapter 1. I stared at the divorce agreement in front of me, my fingers tapping lightly on the mahogany desk. Lawyer Lin's assistant whispered, "Mr. Wang, how's the coffee? Does it suit your taste?" Oh, very good. Thank you." I came back to my senses, lifted the cup of Blue Mountain coffee worth half my day's salary, and took a sip. Bitter as hell, honestly worse than the 10 yuan instant coffee from a convenience store. The assistant politely left the room, and I continued staring blankly at the document. To be precise, at that number printed on it, 50 million. 50 million. A whole 50 million. I held back the urge to burst out laughing, fireworks exploding wildly in my heart instead. 2 years, after 2 whole years of this contractual marriage, it was finally coming to an end. From today on, I, George Wang, was about to reach the peak of my life, an ocean view villa in the Maldives, a limited edition Ferrari, and no more boring business banquets with that workaholic. President Liu has arrived. Hearing the assistant's announcement, I instantly adjusted my expression, putting on that melancholic yet restrained look. I'd practiced this gentleman about to be divorced face in front of my bathroom mirror for 2 months straight, guaranteed to make anyone think I was a good man being abandoned. The door opened, and Willow entered, her heels sharp enough to kill. Today she wore a navy blue suit that made her pale skin glow even brighter. As always, she removed her sunglasses and gave me a quick glance, the same way someone might glance at the office photocopier. "Lawyer Lin, are the documents ready?" Her voice was as cold as ever, about the same temperature as frozen meat in the freezer. "Everything is ready, President Liu," Lawyer Lin replied respectfully, handing her the documents and a pen. "As long as both you and Mr. Wang sign, the agreement will take effect." I watched her take the pen, my heartbeat speeding up. Almost there. Almost there. My free life was right in front of me. Willow skimmed through the contract terms, confirming that the 50 million breakup fee was accurate, and lowered the pen tip toward the signature line. My breath hitched. "Sign it. Hurry up and sign it. My Maldives sunshine, beaches, and bikini beauties are waiting." But just as the pen was about to touch the paper, Willow's hand suddenly stopped. My heart nearly leapt out of my throat. "Come on, sister, don't screw up at the critical moment." "President Liu," Lawyer Lin asked in confusion, "is there any problem?" Willow ignored him and just kept staring straight at me. That look made chills run down my spine. Could it be she found out I secretly drank her treasured wine last week? No, that can't be. I clearly refilled that 1982 Lafite with some cheap knockoff. Willow snapped the pen shut and stood up. "I've changed my mind. This marriage is not ending." My brain instantly crashed. "What?" I blurted out, then quickly tried to fix it. Why suddenly? Crap, my voice was shaking. My 50 million, my ocean view villa, my sports car. What the hell was wrong with this woman? Didn't we agree the contract ended peacefully after 2 years? The company has a new project. Getting divorced now would hurt our image. She picked up her Hermes bag, worth a year of my salary, and headed for the door. Just before leaving, she turned and added one more stab. "Oh, and tonight's charity gala, don't forget to show up on time, my dear husband." That last word she bit down especially hard. I nearly sprayed my coffee. Watching her elegant back disappear, I collapsed onto the sofa, feeling like my whole life had gone gray. My freedom. Damn that charity gala. I had already picked out what suit to wear, obviously the party armor I'd used to hit the nightclub right after signing the divorce papers. Lawyer Lin coughed awkwardly. "Mr. Wang, then this agreement. Just tear it up." I waved weakly, then suddenly thought of something. "Wait, can I at least keep it as a souvenir? At least let me take it home and cry over it." Leaving the law firm, I stood on the sidewalk and called my best bro, David. "Hey, David, disaster struck. Willow suddenly backed out. She won't divorce me." "What? Then your 50 million, gone." I gritted my teeth. This woman is definitely doing it on purpose. She must have found out I swapped her wine collection. This is her revenge. "Hold on." David suddenly lowered his voice. "Do you think maybe she's actually fallen for you?" I almost choked on my own saliva. "Are you crazy? Willow, that workaholic ice queen. Do you know what she said when I gave her a necklace for her birthday? Such luxury items affect work efficiency. Next time just convert it into cash and donate it to charity." "Then why won't she divorce you?" Who the hell knows? I scratched my head in frustration. She said it's about company image. Company image? My ass. We've been married 2 years and the number of times we've shared a bed can be counted on one hand, like she actually cares. The truth? We hadn't even shared a bed once. But hey, gotta save face in front of a friend. After hanging up, I stood dazed on the street for a while. Then I suddenly remembered tonight's charity gala, and my mood hit rock bottom again. I'd have to put on a polished mask, go play the devoted husband, and endure those fake smiles from rich people looking at me like I was just a pretty boy living off a woman. Wait a second. I narrowed my eyes. Since Willow doesn't want a divorce, then I'll make her beg for it. I'll cling, annoy, stir up drama, and be as unbearable as possible. With Willow's workaholic personality, she won't last a month. Thinking of this, hope rekindled in me. 50 million. Just wait, I'll get you one way or another. But first, I'd better swap back that bottle of Lafite I tampered with. Chapter 2. If Willow ever found out, I was afraid I wouldn't even get 50 cents of breakup compensation. I stood at the door of our marital villa, suitcase in hand, and took a deep breath. 2 years already, ever since I signed that damned marriage contract with Willow. I could count on one hand the number of times I'd stepped into this mansion. As I slid the key into the lock, my hand trembled, not from nerves, from rage. My 50 million, just gone, like that. Calm down, George, I muttered to myself. Stick to the plan. Within a month, Willow will definitely be the one to ask for a divorce. The moment I pushed the door open, a faint jasmine fragrance wafted over me. The living room was spotless, exactly the same as the last time I'd been here, which basically meant Willow hadn't been staying here either. Dragging my suitcase upstairs, I paused in front of the master bedroom door for 3 seconds, then decisively turned around and headed to the guest room. Sure, the contract said we had to act like a loving couple, but keeping some distance in private was better. Besides, my current goal was to make Willow hate me, not actually live with her. I had barely set down my luggage when my phone buzzed. A text from Willow, charity gala, Hyatt Hotel, 7 p.m. Don't be late. I rolled my eyes at the screen. Typical Willow, even without punctuation. Her words carried the tone of a command. Of course, darling, I'll be right on time, I typed back, deliberately cheesy, even adding a disgusting heart emoji. The second I sent it, I regretted it. Too obvious. Willow was too smart, she'd definitely suspect something. But then again, suspicion might work in my favor. Let her think I was acting strange. I unzipped my suitcase and began unpacking. On top were my carefully prepared, annoying husband, props, 3 ridiculously flashy shirts. Willow hated gaudy clothing. A bottle of cologne so strong it could fumigate a room, she once said she hated overpowering scents. And a stack of gossip magazines, according to her. Reading them was a waste of life. Perfect. I grinned, grabbed the cologne, and sprayed myself like crazy, nearly choking myself to death. Halfway through unpacking, my stomach growled. I checked the time, 4 p.m. Still 3 hours until the gala. Plenty of time to eat and then dress myself in maximum obnoxiousness. Humming a little tune, I headed downstairs toward the kitchen. But the second I pushed the door open, I froze. Willow was sitting at the dining table, surrounded by documents, fingers flying over her laptop keyboard. She lifted her head and glanced at me, her brows instantly furrowing. What did you spray? New cologne. You like it? I deliberately spun around, letting the scent spread even more. Willow's nose twitched, but she quickly returned to her blank expression and said flatly, "It's fine." Wait, that's not right. Wasn't she supposed to wrinkle her nose in disgust and tell me to wash it off? There's food in the fridge. Heat it yourself. Willow didn't even look up again. I grabbed the excuse to escape and rushed to the fridge. Inside, everything was neatly arranged in containers labeled Monday, Tuesday. Classic Willow, even meals had to be scheduled. I grabbed a box at random and shoved it into the microwave. While waiting, I stole a glance at Willow. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, gilding her figure in gold. Her lashes cast delicate shadows across her cheeks. I had to admit, this woman was stunning. Pity her personality was hellish. The microwave chimed with a ding, snapping me back. I took out the container, carried it to the far end of the dining table, and sat down as far from Willow as possible. Willow suddenly said, "Wear the navy blue suit tonight." I was in the middle of shoving food into my mouth and nearly choked. I have my own sense of style. Those flashy shirts of yours will embarrass me in front of clients. I pouted, silently retorting, "Who cares what your clients think? I'm wearing the flashiest one I've got." Willow's fingers paused on the keyboard for a moment, but soon resumed typing. She left behind just 2 words, "Up to you." Weird. She actually gave in. That wasn't Willow's style at all. After finishing dinner, I practically bolted back to the guest room, locked the door, and leaned against it, panting. Too strange. Willow was way too strange today. I checked the time, 5:30. Time to get ready for the gala. Although I'd been full of bravado in my head earlier, for the sake of survival, it was safer to go along with her this time. I pulled out the navy blue suit but paired it with a flamboyant red tie as a tiny act of rebellion. By 6:30, when I came downstairs, Willow was already waiting in the living room. She wore a black backless gown, her hair pinned up, her long neck exposed. I had to admit, this woman had the kind of presence that was impossible to look away from. Change the tie. She didn't even turn her head. I looked down at my red tie. Why? I think it matches perfectly. Like a restaurant waiter, Willow replied as she turned, holding out a navy blue tie. Wear this. In my heart, I cursed her out 6 different ways. Control freak, perfectionist, ice queen. Who the hell wants to listen to you anyway? But then Willow suddenly blinked, the corner of her lips twitching just the tiniest bit, before her face returned to its usual poker face mask. Hurry up, we'll be late. Like a puppet on strings, I changed the tie and followed her out the door. In the car, I decided to test something. Staring out the window, I shouted inside my head, Willow is a tomboy. Willow is a tomboy. Willow is a tomboy. Willow kept her eyes glued to the files on her tablet, not reacting at all. Guess I was overthinking it. Mind reading was too ridiculous. The charity gala was as boring as ever. I stood beside Willow like some decorative vase, plastering on fake smiles for every rich man who came over. On the surface, they treated me politely, but their eyes screamed, pretty boy living off his wife. And where do you work, Mr. Wang? A middle-aged man with a face full of fat asked with a smile. I'm a freel. Before I could speak, Willow cut in smoothly, slipping her hand naturally through my arm. My husband is a freelancer. I almost choked on my own saliva. Willow touched me. Did the sun rise in the west today? Freelancer? So, no real job then. The middle-aged man's eyes glinted with disdain. In my head, I cursed his entire family tree, but Willow suddenly gave my arm a gentle squeeze, then said to him, perhaps Mr. Zhang doesn't know, my husband is a business analysis expert. Many of our investment decisions are based on his advice. I stared at her in shock. Business analysis expert? Sure, I majored in that in college, but how did Willow know? And blowing my reputation up like this wasn't part of the contract. By the time the gala ended, I was utterly exhausted. This kind of event was worse than hard labor. At least hard labor didn't require fake smiling. Back home, Willow went straight upstairs to the master bedroom. I collapsed on the sofa, pulled out my phone, and texted David. The plans changed. Willow's acting way too strange today. He replied instantly, strange how? She actually praised me as a business analysis expert, and she even linked arms with me. Holy shit, don't tell me she's falling for you. Get lost. I shot back with an angry emoji. Starting tomorrow, we execute Plan A. Plan A, my and David's carefully designed clingy husband strategy, bombarding Willow every day with countless texts and calls until she couldn't stand me anymore and begged for a divorce. At 7 in the morning, the alarm went off and I jumped out of bed, immediately sending Willow my first message. Good morning, darling. What a beautiful day, miss you. The moment I hit send, I got goosebumps all over. Willow usually woke up at 7:30, never earlier. I waited for her to reply with a simple get lost or maybe just block me outright, but my phone buzzed almost instantly. To my shock, Willow replied, good morning. The weather is indeed nice. Don't forget breakfast. I stared at the screen for a full minute. This wasn't right. Willow never replied to this kind of boring message, much less cared about whether I ate or not. Unwilling to give up, I sent another, what time are you off work today? I'll come pick you up. Let's have dinner together. This time it took 5 minutes before her reply came. 7. I want Japanese food. I nearly dropped my phone. What the hell? Willow agreeing to a date. According to David's theory, she was supposed to be disgusted by me. All day long, like some lunatic, I sent Willow a message every 30 minutes. From, have you eaten lunch? To, is the office AC too cold? I left nothing out. And the scarier part, Willow replied to every single one. She even took the initiative to send me a picture of her lunch. By 6:30 p.m., I was standing outside Liu Group's headquarters, feeling like an idiot. Plan A had completely failed, and now I had no choice but to accompany Willow to Japanese dinner. Mr. Wang, a voice called from behind. I turned and saw a man in a sharp suit, fake smile plastered on his face. Martin. I nodded. He was Willow's vice president, always mocking me whenever he got the chance. Martin looked me up and down, then said, didn't expect to see you here. President Liu has an important meeting tonight. She won't have time to see you. Just as I was about to snap back, Willow's voice came from the building entrance. George. I turned. She was in her signature business suit, heels clicking crisply against the marble floor. Martin's expression instantly shifted to respectful. President Liu, didn't you say you had to work late reviewing the merger case tonight? He asked. Changed my mind. Without even glancing at him, Willow walked straight over, unexpectedly linking her arm through mine. My husband booked Japanese. Martin's face looked like he'd swallowed a fly. I barely held back my laughter, deliberately kissing Willow on the cheek. Let's go, darling. Once we stepped out of the building, Willow immediately released my arm, her icy demeanor snapping back into place. Nice acting. Right back at you, I smirked, then asked, why'd you help me shut down Martin? Willow arched an eyebrow. Don't you hate him? Of course, but, I suddenly froze, staring at her. Wait, how do you know I hate him? Every time you see him, your face looks like you stepped in dog crap, Willow said calmly. Okay, fair explanation, but still, something felt off. At the Japanese restaurant, Willow even poured me a cup of sake. I heard you majored in business analysis in college. Yeah, but I haven't really used it since graduating, I answered cautiously. How did you know that? It's on the marriage registration form. Willow took a sip of sake. Why didn't you pursue it as a career? I shrugged. Never found the right opportunity. The truth was, I wasted a year gaming after graduation, and after that I never managed to find a relevant job. Interested in joining Liu Group? Willow suddenly asked. I nearly spat out my drink. What? The company has a new project that needs business analysis, Willow said, her expression dead serious. Salary will be market standard. I narrowed my eyes. Why the sudden kindness? Willow set down her cup and met my eyes directly. Because I think you're wasting your talent. That answer completely caught me off guard. I had expected her to say something like, because the contract isn't over yet, or for the sake of the company's image. I'll think about it, I replied vaguely, but inside I was wondering, what on earth is this woman plotting? Chapter 3. At exactly 7 in the morning, I crouched outside the master bedroom door like some secret agent, ear pressed against the wood. No sound. Willow should still be asleep. I cleared my throat and called out in the sweetest, most nauseating voice, darling, time to get up. The sun's already shining on your butt. From inside came a loud thud, like a pillow hitting the door. Perfect. Just as planned. I grinned smugly and continued, my tone so sugary it could rot teeth. I made breakfast for you, heart-shaped eggs and toast. The door suddenly yanked open. Willow stood there, hair slightly messy, eyes still drowsy, and yet, still breathtaking. She was in a silk nightgown, neckline slightly loose, revealing a delicate collarbone. I quickly looked away, chanting silently in my head, 50 million, 50 million, 50 million. When did you learn to cook? Willow's voice was husky from sleep. I learned just for you, I winked, silently adding, actually, it's just takeout with some plating. Willow narrowed her eyes, and that look sent chills down my spine. Could she have found out already? Thanks, she suddenly said, then walked straight toward the dining room. I froze. Wait, that's it. No sarcasm. No, get lost. At the table, Willow ate my so-called loving breakfast in small, delicate bites, her expression calm as if she were dining at a Michelin 3-star restaurant. I sat opposite her, feeling like a nervous skulkid waiting for the teacher to grade his homework. The eggs are too salty. The toast is burnt. She put down her fork. But I appreciate the thought. My jaw nearly hit the table. That wasn't Willow at all. According to David's script, she should have wrinkled her nose in disgust and said something like, don't ever put this garbage on the table again. What are your plans for today? Willow dabbed her lips with a napkin, her movements graceful like she was shooting a commercial. Nothing special, I stammered, completely forgetting all the lines I had rehearsed. Then come to the office with me. Willow stood up. There are some documents that need your signature. My eyes widened. What documents? Joint property confirmation papers. She said it so casually. Since we're not divorcing, certain procedures need to be updated. My heart skipped a beat. Joint property? Doesn't that mean my 50 million is doomed? I just remembered I have a dentist appointment today. I jumped up. A very important dentist appointment. Willow gave me a faint, amused look. Is that so? Then another day. She walked toward the stairs, but suddenly turned back and added, oh, and I'll message you at noon. Make sure you reply. Like an idiot, I nodded automatically. Only after she went upstairs did I collapse into the chair. This wasn't right. Something was definitely not right. Willow wasn't repelled by my clinginess. She was actually doubling down and clinging back. I pulled out my phone and dialed David. David, plan A is a total failure. Willow actually likes me being clingy. That's impossible. David screamed on the other end. A workaholic like her should hate being disturbed. But she just asked me to go with her to the office, and she said she'd text me at noon. There was silence for a few seconds. Then David muttered, George, are you sure this is just a contractual marriage? Of course. We haven't even held hands, I hissed, except for the necessary public appearances. Then why is she suddenly acting like this? David said under his breath. Unless what? Unless she's really falling for you. I almost crushed my phone in my hand. Are you out of your mind? Willow, like me, do you know what she said the last time I gave her flowers for her birthday? These meaningless plants only attract bugs and cause allergies. Then how do you explain her attitude toward you now? I was speechless. Yeah, how do I explain it? Unless, a terrifying thought struck me. David, what if she can hear what I'm thinking? The sound of roaring laughter exploded from the other end. Ha ha ha. Are you insane? Mind reading. What do you think this is? A sci-fi movie. I thought so too. It was absurd, but Willow's behavior lately had been far too abnormal. At exactly noon, my phone buzzed. A text from Willow. Have you had lunch? I stared at the screen, fingers trembling. Should I reply? If I did, wouldn't that just encourage her clinginess? But if I didn't, I could already imagine Willow's icy face deducting my breakup compensation. I ate. How about you? I finally replied, even throwing in a disgusting heart emoji. Willow replied instantly, I'm eating. There's a company gathering tonight. You're coming. Not a question, a command. Classic Willow. I didn't even know why there were always so many gatherings, but afraid she'd bring up the joint property confirmation papers again, I didn't dare argue. What kind of gathering? I asked. Wangdu celebration banquet. 7 o'clock. Don't be late. I curled my lip and cursed silently. Control freak. Immediately, my phone buzzed again. Remember to dress formally. I nearly threw my phone across the room. Was this woman actually telepathic? Chapter 4. At 7 in the evening, dressed in the navy blue suit Willow had chosen, I stepped into Liu Group's headquarters. In the elevator, I adjusted my tie in the mirror, running through tonight's plan B in my head. Since being clingy didn't work, I'd switch strategies, play the role of a frivolous playboy and embarrass Willow in front of everyone. The celebration banquet was held in the top floor ballroom, already buzzing with voices by the time I arrived. Willow stood at the center, surrounded by senior executives, like a queen receiving her subjects' worship. She wore a burgundy gown tonight, her skin pale as snow, her hair loosely pinned up to reveal a slender neck. I took a deep breath, puffed out my chest, and strode forward. Darling, my voice was loud enough for half the hall to hear. Every head turned, including Willow's. I seized the chance to wrap my arm around her waist and planted a loud kiss on her cheek. Sorry I'm late, traffic was terrible. Willow's body stiffened for a moment, but then relaxed. It's fine, she said. She didn't push me away. That didn't make sense. I decided to crank it up. Grabbing a champagne flute, I raised my voice. Ladies and gentlemen, a toast to my beautiful wife. Without her, Liu Group wouldn't be where it is today. The executives exchanged glances but still lifted their glasses. Willow's expression was odd, almost like she was suppressing laughter. Mr. Wang is truly a model husband, one female executive said with a smile. Of course. I tightened my arm around Willow. I cook Willow breakfast every day, text her at lunch to remind her to eat, and give her massages at night. Willow suddenly coughed, her face flushing bright red. Finally couldn't take it anymore. President Liu is really lucky, another female colleague said enviously. Wait, what? Shouldn't they be grossed out, thinking I was some disgusting clingy fool? Just then, a young woman in a low-cut dress staggered toward me. Mr. Wang, can I buy you a drink? My eyes lit up. Perfect. Flirting with a colleague right in front of Willow. Let's see if she can handle that. Of course. Gorgeous. I accepted the glass, leaning in close. And your name is? I'm Lisa. From marketing. She blushed. I've always admired you, Mr. Wang. I shot a triumphant glance at Willow, only to find her chatting with the CFO. Not even looking this way. Damn it. Mr. Wang, you're so handsome. Lisa leaned in closer, her boozy breath hot against my face. So much better than the men in this company. That's when I realized she was drunk. She practically draped herself over me, her hands wandering up my chest. Panic set in. This was supposed to be an act. I never actually wanted to cheat. Miss Lisa, you've had too much. I tried to push her away, but she clung on like an octopus. Mr. Wang, will you take me home? She whispered in my ear. I froze, screaming inside. I'm dead. If Willow sees this, I'm finished. She'll kill me, and I won't see a single cent of my 50 million. Need a hand. A cold voice cut in from behind. I turned, and there was Willow, standing with a dangerous smile. President Liu. Lisa instantly let go of me and snapped to attention. I was just. You're drunk, Willow said calmly. The company will cover your cab fare. Go home and rest. Lisa scurried away like a mouse that had just seen a cat. I stood frozen, cold sweat dripping down my back. Willow, let me explain. No need. Willow handed me a glass of juice and added, drink less alcohol. I dumbly accepted the glass, utterly confused. That reaction was way too normal. According to the script, wasn't she supposed to explode in anger and humiliate me in front of everyone? President Liu, a greasy middle-aged man, walked over. I heard the recent acquisition went smoothly. Willow nodded. Thanks to the team's hard work. And this must be your husband. The man looked me up and down. Truly a fine-looking gentleman. I rolled my eyes inwardly. Bootlicker. Willow suddenly slipped her arm through mine. Yes, my husband has given me plenty of professional advice. Professional advice? When the hell did I ever give her professional advice? This woman could lie without blinking. After the banquet, Willow actually suggested we go home together. In the car, she leaned back with her eyes closed to rest. I, on the other hand, secretly studied her profile. Moonlight streamed in through the window, Tracing out her perfect features, I suddenly noticed her lashes, long, like little fans. Had enough staring? Willow spoke suddenly. Eyes still shut. I jerked my gaze away. Who's staring at you? I was looking out the window. Willow let out a soft chuckle and said nothing more. Back at home. She headed straight for the bedroom. At the door, she paused. By the way, tomorrow's the weekend. We're going golfing. What? I don't know how to play golf. I'll teach you. She shut the door, leaving me standing alone in the hallway. Dumbfounded, I returned to the guest room and messaged David. Plan B failed too. Willow didn't even care when I flirted with a female colleague. David replied, bro, I'm more and more convinced she really likes you. Bullshit. I angrily typed back. She's just what? I couldn't even come up with a reason. Willow's behavior lately was far too abnormal, completely out of character for her Ice Queen persona. Unless, a ridiculous thought popped into my head, unless she could actually hear my thoughts and knew I was just acting. I shook my head, banishing the absurd idea. Mind reading. Nonsense. Tomorrow's golf, there. I had to find a way to make her bring up divorce herself. Chapter 5. The next day, I put on the clothes she had picked for me and followed her to the golf course. Whack. The golf ball shot out like a cannonball, tracing a perfect arc in the air, then landed squarely on the head of a rich guy in the next lane. Ow. A scream echoed across the entire golf course. I stood frozen, hands trembling around the club. Great. I was doomed this time. George Wong. Willow stormed over, heels sinking into the grass. Her teeth were practically grinding. Was that on purpose? I blinked innocently. I told you I don't know how to play golf. That was the chairman of my group. Willow hissed under her breath. Do you have any idea we're negotiating a partnership with them? I rolled my eyes inwardly. Not my problem. Outwardly, I put on a guilty face. Sorry, darling, should I go apologize? Willow took a deep breath, then suddenly smiled. Sure, go ahead. Wait, that wasn't right. Wasn't she supposed to be furious and cancel the whole outing? Reluctantly, I shuffled over to the old man clutching his head. Terribly sorry, sir. You're President Liu's husband, aren't you? The old man glared. Do you know that shot could have sent me straight to the ICU? How about I buy you a drink? I offered with a sheepish grin. A drink? He snorted. I quit drinking 20 years ago. Crap. Flattery backfired. I glanced at Willow. She was sitting calmly under a sun umbrella, sipping iced tea, watching the show like it was entertainment. In the end, I had to sign off on a medical bill with a terrifying number just to settle it. On the way back to the clubhouse, I drooped like a drowned dog. Happy now, Willow handed me a glass of lemonade. Ecstatic, I muttered. Now you see how terrible it is to bring me along. Right, next time, just go buy yours. No, I think it was fun. Willow cut me off. Let's come again next weekend. I spat out the water. What? Willow raised an eyebrow. What? You don't want to exercise with me? I was speechless. Had this woman lost her mind? Logically, she should never want to see me again after this. Back home, I collapsed onto the sofa, reflecting on life. The golf plan failed. The clingy plan failed. The Playboy plan failed. Willow's tolerance was beyond imagination. Looks like it's time for harsher measures, I muttered, pulling out my phone and searching how to be a terrible husband. The next morning, I deliberately slept in until the sun was high. When I went downstairs, Willow had already gone to work. On the dining table was a note. Breakfast is in the microwave. I curled my lip and dumped the breakfast straight into the trash. Then I began executing my terrible husband plan. Step 1, scatter dirty socks everywhere. Step 2, play video games in the living room until 3 a.m. Volume maxed out. Step 3, order piles of junk food delivery and stack the empty boxes on the coffee table. Step 4, use Willow's fancy teacups as ashtrays, even though I didn't smoke. 3 days later, the apartment looked like a pigsty. I surveyed the chaos proudly. Surely this time, Willow would blow her top. At 7 in the evening, I heard the sound of the door lock turning. I immediately sprawled across the sofa in the most obnoxious pose I could manage, hammering away at the game controller with loud pa-pa-pa clicks. Willow walked in, her heels crunching on top of pizza boxes. She looked around, and her expression was surprisingly calm. Having fun? She asked. Having the time of my life, I shouted deliberately. Way better than playing golf with you. Willow nodded, set down her briefcase, and began taking off her jacket. Wait, what? Why wasn't she angry? Don't you think the house is too messy? I probed. A little. Willow bent down and picked up one of my dirty socks. But the cleaning service is coming tomorrow. My jaw almost hit the floor. That's it. No yelling. No slamming the door. I'm tired. I'll take a shower first. With that, Willow headed upstairs, leaving me sitting alone in the trash heap, questioning my entire existence. Plan C failed. The next day was Saturday, and I slept until noon. When I finally went downstairs, the apartment was spotless again. My game console was neatly tucked away in the TV cabinet, and all the takeout boxes were gone. Willow sat at the dining table working, a cup of coffee in front of her, but something looked off. Her face was pale, her eyes bloodshot, and she kept coughing. "You're sick," I blurted out. Willow shook her head. "I'm fine." When I got closer, I saw beads of sweat on her forehead and her lips were cracked. She was obviously running a fever. "Did you check your temperature?" I frowned. "No time." Willow didn't even look up. "This merger case is due Monday." I yanked her laptop out of her hands. "If you're sick, then rest." Willow finally looked up, her gaze sharp. "Give it back." "No." I hid the computer behind me. "Go lie down upstairs. I'll go buy you medicine." "Not necessary." Willow stood to snatch it back, but suddenly swayed, nearly collapsing. I quickly caught her, and the heat radiating from her skin shocked me. "God, you're burning up like this and still working. Let me go." Willow struggled, but her strength was clearly fading. Without another word, I scooped her up in my arms. She was shockingly light, like a weak little kitten pressed against me. "George, put me down," she protested weakly. "Shut up." I carried her upstairs. "Move again and I'll throw you off the stairs." Willow finally stopped struggling, maybe too exhausted to resist. I laid her gently on the bed, pulled the blanket over her, and started rummaging for a thermometer. "Medicine box is in," Willow tried to tell me weakly. "I know where it is." I cut her off gruffly. Truth was, I had no idea. I finally found it in the bathroom cabinet. The thermometer read 39.2 degrees Celsius. I swore out loud, then dug out the fever-reducing pills. "Take it." Willow shook her head. "It'll make me drowsy. I still have work." "Work? My ass." My voice rose with anger. "You want to fry your brain and end up an idiot?" Willow blinked in shock at my outburst, then obediently took the pill and swallowed it. I handed her a cup of warm water. My movements were unexpectedly gentle. "Get some sleep," I ordered. "I'll go buy food." Willow had already closed her eyes, her long lashes casting shadows on her pale face. I stood by the bed for a moment, and a strange feeling welled up inside me. Downstairs, I immediately called David. "David, emergency. Willow has a high fever." "So, let her call a doctor herself." "But she looks really bad." I bit my nails. "What should I do?" There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. "George, don't tell me you're actually worried about her." "Bullshit," I denied instantly. I'm just afraid if she dies, I won't get my 50 million. Heh. David let out a cold laugh. "Then why are you calling me?" I was speechless. Yeah, why was I calling David? Shouldn't I just let Willow fend for herself? Whatever. I hung up in frustration, grabbed the keys, and stormed out. An hour later, I came back carrying bags stuffed with fever medicine, porridge, fruit, and even a bouquet of flowers. The shop clerk said patients recover faster in a good mood, so I just grabbed one. Yeah, that's all. No other reason. Just afraid she'd die and I wouldn't get my 50 million. When I went upstairs, Willow was still asleep, but restlessly, murmuring faintly in her dreams. I quietly set everything down and sat at the bedside, watching her. Without her strong CEO mask, Willow looked incredibly fragile. Her brows were furrowed, and her cheeks glowed with an unhealthy flush from the fever. Almost without thinking, I reached out to brush aside the strands of hair on her forehead, only to flinch at how scorching hot her skin was. She needed physical cooling. I rushed to the bathroom, dampened a towel, and came back to lay it gently across her forehead. Willow let out a soft sigh of relief in her sleep. For the next few hours, I played the role of a dedicated caretaker, changing the towel regularly, checking her temperature, helping her drink water. Willow drifted in and out of consciousness, and every time she opened her eyes to see me there, she looked surprised, before quickly slipping back into slumber. Chapter 6. By 8 in the evening, her temperature finally dropped to 38 degrees. I let out a sigh of relief, only then realizing I was starving. Just as I was about to go downstairs to grab food, Willow suddenly grabbed my wrist. "Don't go." Her voice was so weak it was almost inaudible. I froze. Was Willow asking me to stay? I'm just getting something to eat," I stammered. "I'll be right back." Willow seemed to understand and slowly loosened her grip. I bolted downstairs like I was fleeing, my heart pounding wildly. This wasn't right. Not right at all. Why was I taking care of her? Why did I get nervous when I saw her in pain? Why did I feel so strange when she held on to me? When I brought hot porridge back to the bedroom, Willow was already awake, propped against the headboard, looking much better. "Thanks." She took the bowl softly. I snorted. "Don't get the wrong idea. I just don't want the cops to think I killed you if you croak in front of me." Willow's lips curved faintly. She gave a small in response. She sipped the porridge slowly while I sat there pretending to play with my phone, secretly sneaking glances at her. She looked much healthier. Guess the fever medicine was working. "You've been here the whole time?" Willow suddenly asked. I shrugged. "Where else would I be? I thought you'd take the chance to go out and have fun. Am I that kind of person?" I rolled my eyes, silently adding, "Though that really was my original plan." Willow actually laughed, weakly, but genuinely, as she answered, "No, We lapsed into a strange silence. After she finished the porridge, I set the bowl aside and casually took her temperature again. 37.4. Much better. I sighed in relief. You should be fine by tomorrow. Willow studied me for a long moment, then said quietly, "You're actually good at taking care of people." "I am not," I denied instantly. Just what? I had no idea. I just couldn't stand by and do nothing while she was sick. "Go to sleep," I muttered stiffly. "I'll be in the next room. Call me if you need anything." I stood up to leave, but Willow suddenly said, "George." "What?" "Tonight, can you stay?" Her voice was soft. "I don't want to have nightmares." My eyes widened. Willow, acting cute. That was even scarier than her having a fever. Whatever, I stammered, dragging a chair over to the bedside. "Just go to sleep already." Willow nodded and closed her eyes. I sat there in the darkness, listening to her steady breathing, my emotions swirling like a spilled paint palette. Why was I staying? Why wasn't I seizing the chance to push for divorce? Why did my chest tighten every time I saw her looking so vulnerable? Moonlight spilled through the window, falling across Willow's sleeping face. I suddenly realized, just sitting here watching her like this didn't feel so bad. The next morning, sunlight pierced through the gap in the curtains, stabbing at my eyes. I groggily opened them, only to realize I'd spent the night slumped awkwardly beside Willow's bed, my neck aching like I had whiplash. Willow was already awake, sitting up with a tablet in hand, brows furrowed in concentration. Her complexion was much better, though her lips were still pale. "You feeling better?" I asked hoarsely, rubbing my neck. Willow glanced at me. Classic Willow, concise to the point of cruelty. I stood and stretched, bones cracking under the strain. God, had I really slept on that hard chair the whole night? Willow didn't even look up as she said, "You should have slept in the guest room." "You think I wanted to sleep here?" I rolled my eyes. "Who was the one holding onto me and refusing to let go last night?" Her fingers froze on the tablet, the tips of her ears turning slightly red. I was delirious from the fever. "Just talking nonsense." I was about to retort when I suddenly noticed the headline on her screen: Liu Corporation suspected of financial fraud. Stock price plummets 15%. What's going on? I leaned closer to get a better look. Willow instantly locked the screen and said flatly, "Nothing. Company business." "Hey, I already saw the headline." I frowned. "Financial fraud? Is that for real?" "Of course not." Her tone was icy. "It's just malicious short selling." She threw back the covers and got out of bed. Her movements were steady, but I caught the subtle way she supported herself on the nightstand. Still sick, and already pretending to be fine. This woman. Seriously, where are you going? I blocked her path. "To the office." Willow brushed off my hand. "Now is not the time to stay in bed. You still have a fever." "So what?" She was already at the wardrobe, picking out clothes. "Every 1% drop in stock price means tens of millions in losses." My mouth opened, but I couldn't think of a rebuttal. Knowing Willow, she would drag herself to the office even if she had to crawl. "Suit yourself." I turned toward the door. "Just don't blame me if you keel over." Despite my words, I still headed straight to the kitchen downstairs. 10 minutes later, I came back with a cup of hot honey water and 2 slices of toast. "Eat." I shoved the plate into Willow's hands. "I don't want you fainting on the way." She blinked in surprise before accepting it. "Thanks." While she ate, I secretly pulled out my phone and looked up the news. It was worse than I thought. An anonymous letter accused Liu Corporation of inflating profits, even attaching so-called internal documents, obviously forged. But the market had already panicked. "So how are you planning to respond?" I asked. Willow buttoned up her shirt collar. "Hold a press conference to clarify, and have legal prepare a lawsuit." "Too passive." I shook my head. "With this kind of malicious short selling, clarification alone won't cut it. You need to find out who's behind it, and at the same time give the market a stronger signal." Willow paused mid-motion with her tie, staring at me in surprise. "You actually know about this?" I shrugged. "Didn't you say I was a genius at business analysis? So what do you suggest?" For once, there was a trace of genuine consultation in her tone. I thought for a moment. "First, announce a major investment or acquisition right away to show the company's financial strength. Second, get a few heavyweight partners to stand publicly by your side. And most importantly, investigate who's been shorting your stock in huge amounts." Willow nodded slowly, thoughtful. "That makes sense." She picked up her phone and dialed. "Martin, call an executive meeting at 9. Also, contact President Wang and Chairman Chen. Tell them I'll host them for lunch." After hanging up, she turned to me. "Are you coming with me?" "Me?" I pointed at myself. "To your company? You claim to understand business analysis, don't you?" Willow picked up her briefcase. "Consider yourself a consultant." I was about to refuse, but then I caught sight of her still pale face. Against my better judgment, the words that came out were, "Fine, I've got nothing else to do today anyway." Chapter 7. Half an hour later, we arrived at the Liu Corporation headquarters. The moment I stepped into the lobby, I could feel the tension in the air. Employees hurried past, whispering to each other. When they saw Willow, worry immediately appeared on their faces. In the elevator, Willow suddenly swayed. I caught her just in time. "Hey, you okay?" "I'm fine." She pushed me away, but her fingers clenched tightly around the strap of her briefcase, her knuckles white. The conference room was already full of executives. When Willow entered, everyone rose to their feet. "Sit." Willow walked straight to the head of the table. "You all know the situation. Let's discuss countermeasures." For the next 2 hours, I sat quietly in a corner, watching how Willow commanded the room. Her complexion was still pale, but her thinking was razor-sharp. Each instruction came out crisp and decisive. Against my will, a trace of admiration stirred in me. "I think we should stabilize the major shareholders first," said a slick-haired man. I recognized him as Martin. "Especially the Ito family. They hold 15%. If they sell, the Ito family won't sell." Willow cut him off. "I have a personal relationship with Makoto Ito." Martin's expression soured, but he pressed on. "Still, Makoto has been pursuing you for years. Now that your marriage is public, that's my private matter." Willow's tone was icy. "Next topic." I let out a silent whistle in my head. Whoa. Willow had a suitor, and one who held 15% of the company. Interesting. "I think Vice President Martin has a point," a female executive interjected. "We should take a two-pronged approach, clarifying while also finding a heavyweight partner to stand by us." "Such as?" Willow asked. "For example, Hashin Group. They've been expanding overseas lately, and their business would complement ours." I couldn't help but laugh. All eyes in the room snapped toward me. "Sorry." I raised my hand. "But Hashin's cash flow is practically broken. Having them stand by you, that's suicide." The room fell silent. Willow narrowed her eyes. "How do you know Hashin's having liquidity issues?" I realized too late that I'd slipped. "Read it somewhere. In the financial news." "Which financial media?" Willow pressed. "Can't remember." I looked away, mumbling. "Just had that impression." Willow studied me thoughtfully for a moment before turning back to the others. "Mr. Wang is right. Hashin isn't a good choice. Any other suggestions?" When the meeting ended, most of the executives left. Only a few core members stayed behind to discuss details. Willow called me aside. "What you said about Hashin, was that true?" I nodded. "Their investments in Southeast Asia tanked last year. Now they're surviving on short-term loans." "How do you know this?" Her sharp gaze felt like it could strip away my lies. I sighed. "Fine. I sometimes do freelance business analysis for friends." "What kind of friends?" "Just some investment institutions." I hedged. "I help them analyze company financials and such." Willow was about to press further when Martin approached. "President Liu, the press conference is scheduled for 3 o'clock. "Good." Willow nodded, then turned back to me. "You're coming to the press conference with me." "Me?" My eyes widened. "Why would I go?" "You're my husband. At a time like this, of course you need to appear with me." Willow's tone was firm, leaving no room for argument. "We need to send the market a signal of family stability." I opened my mouth to refuse, but when I saw the exhaustion in her eyes, the words stuck in my throat. "Forget it. Might as well help her all the way." Before the press conference, Willow's assistant hurried over. "President Liu, we found a lead. The short sellers are an overseas hedge fund, but there may be domestic capital behind it. Find out who." Willow ordered. The assistant hesitated. "There are signs that it could be the Ito family." Willow's face instantly turned pale. I caught every word and felt my stomach sink. So that suitor Makoto wasn't such a harmless guy after all. At the press conference, Willow was flawless. She calmly refuted the accusations of financial fraud and, at the same time, announced a new energy project in partnership with a state-owned enterprise. When a reporter asked about our marriage, she even took the initiative to hold my hand, showing a rare smile. "My husband has given me tremendous support." Flashes erupted like fireworks. I slipped an arm around her waist, grumbling inwardly, "Great acting." Even I almost believed it. On the way back to the office, Willow's steps were clearly unsteady. I grabbed her. "Enough. You need rest. There's still another meeting." Willow protested weakly. "Cancel it," I said firmly, half dragging, half carrying her into the lounge next to her office. "Lie down." "That's an order." For once, Willow didn't resist. She collapsed onto the bed. I touched her forehead, burning hot again. "Damn it." I fished out the antipyretics. "Take the medicine." Willow obediently swallowed the pill and closed her eyes. I sat by the bed, staring at her furrowed brows, and couldn't help reaching out to smooth them. "Why are you helping me?" Willow suddenly asked. Eyes still closed. I froze. "What?" "Today," she whispered. "You could have just ignored it all." I shrugged. Even though she couldn't see it, I had nothing better to do. Willow's lips curved faintly. "Liar." "Hey, I was being nice." "I know." Willow interrupted softly. "Thank you." I was speechless. Willow actually said thank you. The sun must have risen in the west. After resting a while, Willow insisted on going home. In the car, she leaned against the window with her eyes closed, while I scrolled through Liu Corporation's data on my phone. The more I read, the The clearer it became, this short-selling attack wasn't random. The methods were professional. The timing precise, it had the fingerprints of an insider. Who do you think it is? Willow suddenly asked. I hesitated. High chance there's a mole. Willow nodded. I think so too. The most suspicious one is Martin. We said the name at the same time. We exchanged a glance, both a little surprised. Willow was the first to look away. He's always wanted to replace me. This crisis just handed him the perfect chance. Want me to dig into it for you? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Damn it. Why was I volunteering? Willow looked at me in surprise. You can investigate this. I know a thing or two, I muttered vaguely. I've done similar stuff before, helping friends. Willow nodded thoughtfully. All right. When we got home, Willow took her medicine and went straight to bed. I, on the other hand, opened my laptop and began tracking the hedge fund that had shorted Liu Corporation. Turns out the hacking tricks I'd picked up from a friend hadn't completely faded from memory. A few hours later, I started finding some clues. At 2 in the morning, I was staring blankly at a web of fund transfers on the screen when a warm cup of milk suddenly appeared in front of me. Still awake? Willow asked from behind me. She was in a bathrobe, her hair down, looking much softer than she did during the day. Made some progress. I took the milk and pointed at the screen. Look, the money went through several offshore companies, but in the end, it points to Makoto, Willow said coldly. I looked at her in shock. How do you know? Just a guess. Willow sat down beside me. He's always wanted to control Liu Corporation. Pursuing me was only a means to an end. I gave a low whistle. So this is a, if I can't have it, I'll destroy it situation. More or less. Willow stared at the screen. But this isn't solid proof yet. I yawned. I can dig deeper. But tomorrow. Then Willow suddenly reached out and touched my face. You look tired. The unexpected intimacy made me freeze. Her hand was cold, but it burned against my skin like fire. I am fine. I stammered. You should go back to bed. You're still not fully recovered. Willow withdrew her hand and stood up. You should rest early too. At the door, she turned back. Oh, and tomorrow, come with me somewhere. Where? A family dinner. Willow said calmly. My parents want to meet you. My eyes widened. Wait, didn't we agree not to meet each other's parents? But after they heard I got married, they came straight over. Willow gave a faint smile. So I need you to play along. A bad feeling twisted in my gut. Play along. As in what? As a loving couple, Willow said, then walked away, leaving me staring at the computer screen in a daze. A loving couple, with that ice queen, in front of her parents, no less. Wouldn't that make getting a divorce even harder? No, maybe this was actually a chance. If I could make Willow's parents dislike me, divorce might become a lot easier. Excited, I lay down on the bed, plotting tomorrow's plan. At some point, I drifted off to sleep. Chapter 8. Early the next morning, right after breakfast, Willow told me to change clothes. You're really going to wear that? Willow stood at the doorway of the walk-in closet, frowning at the floral shirt in my hands. I deliberately shook out the red and green disaster printed with palm trees. What's wrong with it? Perfect for meeting the parents. My parents like people who are steady and serious, Willow said flatly. Perfect. Then, I'm the least steady person alive. I grinned, slipped on the floral shirt, and paired it with a pair of wrinkled khakis. Well, don't I look like a jobless freeloader living off my wife? Willow gave me a once-over, and to my surprise, the corner of her lips lifted ever so slightly. Suit yourself. Wait, what? Shouldn't she be blowing up and ordering me to change? Let's go. We're running late. Willow turned on her heel, her high heels clicking sharply against the floor as she headed downstairs. I hurried after her. Hey, your parents know this is a contract marriage, right? They don't. Willow didn't even look back. They think we're madly in love. What? I almost tripped down the stairs. You lied to them. At the bottom, Willow turned, tilting her head to look up at me. Is that a problem? Of course it is. I jumped down the last few steps. What if we slip up? Then don't slip up. Willow handed me a gift bag. This is tea for my father. Remember, you bought it specially from Hangzhou. I stared at the beautifully wrapped box. When the hell did I? Right now. Willow cut me off, shoving another little box into my hands. This is a pearl necklace for my mother. You picked it out in Japan last month. Wait, and another thing. She didn't give me a chance to object. My father likes talking politics. Don't respond. My mother will ask if we plan on having kids. Just say, we'll let nature take its course. I stood there with my mouth hanging open, looking like an idiot. Was this woman treating me like a puppet on strings? Got it. Willow arched an eyebrow. Got it, my ass. I finally found my voice. Your parents aren't idiots. Who the hell are we supposed to be fooling with this? Willow suddenly leaned in close, so close I could catch a faint whiff of her perfume. George, just play along this once, and I'll give you an extra 10 million when we divorce. My breath caught. 60 million. That's 60 million in total. Deal. I instantly switched faces, plastering on a sycophantic grin. My dear in-laws are definitely going to love me. Willow rolled her eyes and strode toward the garage. I scampered after her, already daydreaming about how to spend 60 million. In the car, as I fastened my seatbelt, I asked, "By the way, why didn't you tell your parents the truth?" Willow's fingers tightened on the steering wheel. They're very traditional. They'd never accept something like a contract marriage. Oh, I nodded. Then suddenly a light bulb went off in my head. Wait, no. How did I let this woman trick me into this? I want a divorce, remember? If we don't divorce, even with the extra 10 million, I'll never see the money. No, I have to make her parents hate me. If they think their son-in-law is useless, they'll definitely persuade her to divorce me. 50 million should be plenty then. Willow slammed the brakes, and I almost kissed the windshield. What the hell? Red light, Willow said expressionlessly, though I was pretty sure I caught the corner of her lips twitch. Weird, was she holding back a laugh? Meanwhile, in my head, my genius plan continued. I'll act rude and boorish, chew with my mouth open, order her around, maybe even pick a fight with her dad at dinner. Just then, Willow's voice floated casually through the car. Careful how you behave. If your performance doesn't pass, and my parents end up advising me to divorce, then you won't see that 60 million. My eyes went wide. That's blackmail. It's incentive, Willow corrected calmly. Behave well, and you get the bonus. I slumped back in my seat, fuming silently and cursing Willow in my head. This woman was a devil. Forget mind reading, she was clearly just a calculating capitalist. Willow's parents lived in a villa on the outskirts of the city. As soon as the car stopped, a well-dressed middle-aged couple came out to greet us. Willow's mother was so well-maintained she looked at least 10 years younger than her actual age. Her father, on the other hand, wore a stern expression, a classic retired official look. Dad, Mom. Willow got out of the car, smiling for once. Willow, Mrs. Liu hugged her daughter tightly, then turned her eyes on me. And this must be George. Hello, Uncle, Auntie. I instantly switched to my obedient son-in-law mode, offering the gifts with both hands. Here's some tea and a pearl necklace I brought for you. It's just a small token. Mrs. Liu's eyes crinkled with delight. What a thoughtful young man. Mr. Liu accepted the tea, nodding gravely. Westlake Longjing. Not bad. I sneaked a glance at Willow. She was watching me with that half-smile again. Inside the house, Mrs. Liu sat me down and started bombarding me with questions. George, how did you and Willow meet? I froze for a second. At a business forum, Willow answered smoothly. He was an invited analyst. I stared at her in surprise. Wow, that lie rolled right off her tongue. Really? Mr. Liu perked up. So you know economics? Just a little, I said modestly. What's your opinion on the current stock market? He shot back. Dad, no work talk during meals. Willow cut in quickly, afraid I'd say something stupid. Lunch was a feast, an overwhelming spread of home-style dishes, all cooked by Mrs. Liu herself. I took one bite of the braised pork belly and nearly teared up. Way better than Willow's calorie-counted health meals. Is it good? Mrs. Liu asked expectantly. It's amazing, I exclaimed sincerely. Auntie, your cooking is out of this world. Mrs. Liu beamed with joy, piling more food into my bowl. I ate so heartily that I completely forgot about my act terrible plan. George, Mr. Liu suddenly spoke. I heard you're a freelancer. Crap, here comes the death question. I put down my chopsticks, bracing myself for the storm. Yes, Uncle, I answered honestly. I mainly help some investment firms write analysis reports. Is your income stable? Mr. Liu cut straight to the heart of the matter. Sweat began to bead on my forehead. According to my original script, I should have bragged about how amazing I was, but instead, not exactly stable, I admitted, surprising even myself. The competition is fierce in this field. Sometimes I don't get a single job for an entire month. Willow kicked me under the table again, this time, much harder. I winced at the pain but went on. But it's gotten much better recently. Willow introduced me to a few regular clients. Mr. Liu's expression softened. Willow says you're very talented. She flatters me. I scratched my head sheepishly. Actually, after graduating from college, I wasted a few years. It wasn't until I met Willow that I picked up my profession again. The words were half truth, half lie, but they rolled off my tongue smoothly. Willow looked at me in surprise, as if she hadn't expected me to say that. It's normal for young people to have ups and downs. Mr. Liu actually smiled. What matters is that you don't give up. After lunch, Mr. Liu pulled me into his study for a game of Chinese chess. My chess skills were terrible, but to my surprise, we got along well. From economic trends to history and politics, I discovered this retired cadre was actually a man of deep insight. George, midway through the third game, Mr. Liu suddenly said, Willow has been strong-willed since she was a child. She keeps everything bottled up. But since being with you, I can tell she's opened up more. My hand slipped, placing the chariot in the wrong spot. Really? Last time we had a video call, she actually smiled. Mr. Liu sighed. Her mother and I haven't seen her smile like that in years. Something tightened uncomfortably in my chest, but Willow always wears that cold face around me. Wait, does she secretly smile behind my back? Checkmate, Mr. Liu suddenly declared. I looked down and realized my general had already been cornered. I lost. Mr. Liu began putting away the pieces. Your mind is wandering, thinking about Willow. No, I denied immediately, though for some reason my ears were burning. Back in the living room, Willow and Mrs. Liu were flipping through a photo album. I leaned closer and saw a picture of a little girl in a ballet tutu. This was Willow at 6, Mrs. Liu said with a fond smile. Her first stage performance, she was so nervous she moved both her hands and feet at the same time. Mom. Willow's face turned red, a rare sight. I burst out laughing. No way. President Liu once messed up that badly. Willow shot me a glare, but in her eyes I caught a rare trace of ease. Sunlight spilled through the window onto her face, and in that moment she looked so alive, completely different from the cold, untouchable businesswoman I knew in the office. I suddenly realized this was the first time I had seen the real Willow, not my contract wife, not the CEO of the Liu Group, but just an ordinary girl who could still get shy in front of her parents. On the way back, the car was unusually quiet. I stole glances at Willow's profile, recalling what her father had said, and felt something I couldn't quite put into words. Today, thank you. Willow suddenly broke the silence. I was caught off guard. My parents haven't been this happy in a long time. Her voice was soft. Especially after seeing you finish all the food my mom made. I scratched my head. Well, that braised pork was really delicious. George. Willow abruptly pulled the car over and turned to face me. You did really well today. Do I get a reward then? No. Willow locked eyes with me. Weren't you planning to act like a lazy freeloader? Why did you change your mind? I froze. Yeah, why? I could have easily made her parents dislike me. So why didn't I? Because your dad's actually a good man, I finally said. And that 60 million is pretty tempting. Willow stared at me for a few seconds, then suddenly smiled. Liar. Hey, buckle up. Willow cut me off, restarted the car, and said, let's go home. Home. Coming from Willow's mouth, the word carried an unexpected warmth. That night, lying in the guest room bed, I replayed the day over and over. Her parents' attitude toward me, Mr. Liu's words, Willow's relaxed demeanor in front of her family, all of it left my mind in turmoil. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. It was a message from David. Bro. How's the plan going? Did Willow bring up divorce yet? I stared at the screen, unable to decide how to reply. The plan that had seemed so clear now felt like a tangled mess. What did I really want? 50 million, freedom, or complicated? I finally typed back, then turned off my phone. Chapter 9. The next morning, I woke up naturally. When I went downstairs, Willow had already left for work. On the dining table was a note. My mom left you some braised pork. It's in the fridge. I opened the fridge, and sure enough, there was a lunchbox with a label that said, For George. A sudden warmth surged through my chest. While the meat was heating in the microwave, I turned on the TV. The financial channel was reporting the latest updates on the Liu Group. The stock price has recovered to its pre-short selling level. It is said that President Willow is about to announce a major partnership. The screen cut to Willow at a press conference. She was dressed in a perfectly tailored suit, answering reporters with calm confidence. Watching her radiate on screen, I suddenly realized how wide the gap was between us. The ding of the microwave broke my thoughts. I took out the braised pork. The aroma was mouth-watering, yet my appetite had vanished. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Willow. Are you free tonight? Dinner's on me. I stared at the message as if it came from an alien. Willow inviting me to dinner. Did the sun just rise from the west? Why? I replied. To thank you for yesterday. She answered. My parents really like you. I looked at the message. Emotions tangled in my chest. What they liked was a facade. The role of a perfect son-in-law I had played for a day. If they knew the truth. My phone buzzed again. 6 o'clock. Victory Restaurant. Don't be late. Classic Willow order. I shook my head and replied with a single word. Okay. Putting the phone down, I walked to the window and looked at the sunlight outside. Suddenly, I wondered, if there were no contract, if we were a real couple, what would it be like? The thought startled me. I shook my head to chase it away. Don't be stupid, George. Don't forget about the 50 million. No. Now it's 60 million. But why? When I thought about 60 million, did my heart not leap the way it used to? Victory Restaurant was the most expensive Cantonese place in town. Rumor had it a single meal could cost an ordinary person's monthly salary. I stood at the entrance, tugging at the only decent navy blue suit I owned, feeling utterly out of place. Sir, do you have a reservation? The doorman asked politely. Willow booked a table, I murmured. The doorman's expression instantly turned respectful. A guest of President Liu. Please. This way. He led me through the glittering hall into a semi-private booth. Willow was already there. head bent over some documents. Today she wore a dark green dress, her hair loosely pinned up, exposing her slender neck. Under the soft lights, she looked like a living oil painting. "You're here," Willow said without looking up. I pulled out the chair and sat down. "How are your parents?" "They're good. My mom even asked when she could invite you to dinner again." Willow closed the file at last and lifted her gaze to me. "Let's order." I opened the menu and gasped inwardly at the prices. 4 digits for a single dish. That's robbery. "You order." "I'm not familiar with this." I quickly shut the menu and pushed it toward her. Willow raised an eyebrow. "Last time at the Japanese restaurant, you ordered like a pro. That was Japanese food. This is Cantonese. Different story." I gave an awkward chuckle. Willow didn't press further. She smoothly ordered a few signature dishes. After the waiter left, the room fell into an awkward silence. "So," I scratched my head, "why exactly are you inviting me to dinner today?" Willow lifted her teacup and took a sip. "I told you. To thank you for yesterday." "Cut it out," I interrupted. "No need for that between us. What's the real reason?" Willow set down her teacup and met my eyes. "Makoto is back." I froze. "Oh, your former suitor?" Willow's expression grew serious. "He contacted me this morning. Said he wanted to discuss a partnership." "Partnership?" I frowned. "That backstabber?" "There's no direct evidence it was him," Willow said calmly. "And in business, there are no permanent enemies." I let out a derisive laugh. "So he almost brought your company down, and now he comes grinning, talking cooperation. That's why I wanted to talk to you about it." Willow's voice dropped lower. "He asked me to have dinner with him tomorrow night. Alone." My fingers clenched the napkin unconsciously. "Alone?" Willow studied my reaction. "Do you think I should go?" "Up to you." I forced myself to relax. "We're just in a contract marriage anyway. You can meet whoever you want." "Really?" Willow narrowed her eyes. "Of course." I spread my hands dramatically. "I'm not the kind of petty husband, you know." "Good. Then I'll go," Willow replied crisply. A strange heaviness pressed down in my chest, as if cotton had stuffed my heart. The waiter happened to bring the dishes at that moment, easing the tension for a while. I picked up food mechanically, unable to taste a thing. "By the way," Willow suddenly said, "there's a charity auction tomorrow night. Go in my place." "Me?" My eyes widened. "Why?" "I'll be meeting Makoto, remember?" Willow said evenly. I set my chopsticks down. "Willow, what exactly are you scheming?" "No scheme." Willow dabbed the corner of her lips. "I just think you should take part in more social events. After all what? After all, you are my husband now, at least in the public's eyes." Willow's tone suddenly sharpened. "And I'm sick of hearing people call you my kept man." I shot to my feet, the chair screeching harshly against the floor. "Who said that?" "Plenty of people." Willow met my gaze coolly. "Since the day we got married, the rumors have never stopped." Her words hit my chest like a sledgehammer. I had always pretended not to care, but hearing it straight from Willow still stung. "I need the restroom." I turned and left the booth, needing space to breathe. Inside, I splashed cold water onto my face and stared into the mirror. 2 years now, I'd been playing Willow's contract husband, showing up at events, enduring the disdainful looks of the rich and powerful, but I had never once considered what kind of pressure Willow herself had been enduring. Back in the booth, Willow was on the phone. When she saw me walk in, she ended the call quickly with a simple, "See you tomorrow, Makoto?" I asked. Willow nodded. "He changed his mind. Now he wants to meet at the charity auction." I clenched my fists. "So that means I don't have to go anymore?" "No, you're still going." Willow's eyes grew complicated. "He said he wants us to attend as a couple." I let out a cold laugh. "How generous of him." "George." Willow suddenly placed her hand over mine. "If you don't want to, I'll go." I cut her off. "Of course I'll go. How could I miss the chance to meet your old suitor?" Willow frowned slightly but stayed silent. We finished the rest of the meal in heavy silence. The atmosphere weighed down like lead. When we got home, Willow went straight to the study. I sat on the living room couch, scrolling through my phone for information on Makoto. The screen instantly filled with headlines. Business prodigy Makoto returns home. Heir of the Ito Group strikes again with overseas MA. Diamond bachelor Makoto, a woman in his heart. That last gossip piece had a photo, an old picture of Willow and Makoto together. In the photo, a younger Willow was wearing an evening gown, standing beside a tall, handsome Makoto. The two of them looked dazzlingly perfect together. I shut off my phone, my chest aching. This was the kind of man Willow deserved, wasn't it? A business elite, born into a powerful family, not someone like me, a so-called kept man with no real career. The next evening, I put on the suit Willow had chosen for me, adjusting my tie in front of the full-length mirror. The man in the reflection looked decent enough, but I knew it was all an illusion. Strip off the designer clothes, and I was nothing. Ready. Willow appeared at the door. Tonight, she wore a backless gown, her hair elegantly pinned up, revealing the flawless lines of her shoulders and neck. Around her neck, a diamond necklace glittered brilliantly. I nodded stiffly. In the car, Willow kept reading documents, while I stared out the window at the city flashing by, my chest heavy with unease. Listen. Willow suddenly closed the file and said, "No matter what Makoto says tonight, don't lose your temper." I sneered. "What? Worried I'll embarrass you?" "I'm worried you'll get hurt." Willow frowned. "Makoto isn't someone you can handle easily." "Thanks for the concern," I said bitterly. "But I can take care of myself." Willow sighed, saying nothing more. The charity auction was held on the top floor of the Peninsula Hotel. When the elevator doors opened, I was stunned by the luxury before me. Crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, elegantly dressed elites. This was a world I didn't belong to. "President Liu," a deep male voice called from behind. I turned and saw a tall, strikingly handsome man striding over, dressed in a tailored tailcoat. Every movement radiated the effortless elegance of high society. This was Makoto, more dazzling in person than in any photo. "President Ito." Willow nodded politely. Makoto ignored me completely, taking Willow's hand. "It's been a long time. You're even more beautiful." Without betraying any emotion, Willow withdrew her hand. "Thank you. This is my husband, George." Only then did Makoto Ito glance at me. His eyes filled with disdain as if looking at a fly. "Ah, so this is President Liu's husband." He deliberately emphasized the word husband, drawing quiet chuckles from those nearby. "Good evening, President Ito," I said, extending my hand. "I've heard much about you." Makoto gave my hand a perfunctory shake before turning back to Willow. "Willow, I have some friends who would like to meet you, regarding the cooperation project." Willow hesitated briefly, then looked at me. "You'll be fine on your own for a while." "Of course." I forced a smile. "Go ahead." Watching Willow walk away with Makoto, I clenched my fists tight. This was the life Willow truly wanted, wasn't it? To stand beside someone like Makoto, an elite who could casually discuss billion-dollar deals, not someone like me, a worthless kept man with no real job. I grabbed a glass of champagne and drifted along the edges of the hall alone. Every so often, curious glances landed on me, followed by hushed whispers. I didn't need to hear clearly to know what they were saying. "That's Willow's boy toy. He's nothing but a freeloader. What does President Liu even see in him?" One glass after another. I drank too much. The alcohol blurred the sharp edges of those voices but only made my pride sting more. "Mr. Wang," a strange voice called. I looked up to see a slick-haired man standing before me. "Martin, Willow's vice president." "Vice President Martin." I nodded, trying to steady myself. "Drinking alone?" Martin asked with feigned concern. "Where's President Liu?" "Talking business," I answered curtly. "Oh, with President Ito." "Huh." Martin gave a knowing smile. "They go way back." "Back then they almost." "Almost what?" I narrowed my eyes. "Nothing." Martin feigned a slip of the tongue. "By the way, I heard you've been helping President Liu analyze some data lately." My guard shot up. "How did you know that?" "There are no secrets in a company." Martin sipped his wine. "But I'd advise you not to get too invested. Once President Liu and President Ito finalize a partnership, the company's structure will change drastically." "What do you mean?" "Exactly what I said." Martin lowered his voice. "President Ito has had his eye on the Liu Group for years, and he still has feelings for President Liu. You get what I'm saying?" I shot up from my chair. "What exactly are you trying to say?" "Relax." Martin took a step back. "I'm just giving you a friendly warning. When they reconcile, you, her contract husband, will be dismissed. Isn't that right?" My blood turned cold. You know. "Just a guess." Martin smirked. "After all, how could President Liu really fall for someone like you?" I didn't wait for him to finish. My heart pounding, I turned and stormed away. How did Martin know our secret? Did Willow tell him? Or had our arrangement become so obvious that everyone already guessed it? At the center of the hall, the auctioneer was presenting a jewel. From a distance, I saw Willow and Makoto sitting in the front row. His hand rested intimately on the back of her chair as he leaned in to whisper something. I couldn't see Willow's expression clearly, but she didn't pull away. A sharp pain struck my chest. I set down my glass and quietly slipped out of the hall. The night wind cooled my burning face, and only then did I realize tears were streaming down. Pathetic. I was actually jealous over a contract wife, heartbroken over a woman who never truly belonged to me. Back at the villa, I went straight to the guest room and began packing. 2 years of farce had to end. Willow didn't need a burden like me, and I didn't want to live this humiliating lie anymore. 50 million, 60 million, to hell with it. Some things matter more than money. From the closet, I left behind all the designer suits Willow had bought me. I only packed my old clothes and my laptop. Taking one last look at the room that had never truly been mine, I gently closed the door. In the living room, I left a note. "The contract is over. I wish you happiness." Chapter 10. Just a few simple words, yet they drained every ounce of my strength. Leaving the keys behind, I dragged my suitcase toward the door. At that moment, the sound of the lock turning echoed through the silent living room. Willow stood in the doorway, her face pale. "Where are you going?" Her voice sliced through the silence like a knife. She stood there, still in her high heels, car keys clutched in hand, her chest rising and falling rapidly. I froze in place, the suitcase handle digging painfully into my palm. I just need some air. With a suitcase, Willow sneered, her eyes landing on the crumpled note in my hand. What's that? Instinctively, I balled the paper tighter in my fist. Nothing. Willow strode forward, snatched the note from my hand, and unfolded it. Her eyes scanned the words quickly, her expression darkening with each line. What's the meaning of this? She glared at me, her voice trembling slightly. The literal meaning. I looked away. The contract is over. You're free. I don't agree. Willow tore the note into shreds. We signed a contract. Then call it breach of contract. I let out a bitter laugh. Take the penalty out of my 50 million. George. Willow suddenly raised her voice. What the hell is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I shouted back, unable to hold it in. Watching you and Makoto whispering so sweetly. Am I supposed to pretend nothing happened? Listening to everyone mock me as your boy toy. Am I supposed to just smile through it? Willow's eyes widened. You actually care about that? No shit. I yanked off my tie. What man wouldn't? But you always acted like, because that was part of the contract. I cut her off. Play the loving couple, remember? But I can't keep acting anymore. Willow's face turned ashen. Is this because of Makoto? It's not just him. I took a deep breath. Martin knows our secret. He told me that once you reconcile with Makoto, this contract husband will be dismissed. Willow's pupils constricted sharply. How could he possibly know? You're asking me? I sneered. I should be asking you. Did you tell him? Of course not. Willow's voice was sharp. Why would I ever? Doesn't matter anymore. I waved my hand wearily. It's going to end sooner or later. Better to end it now. While I still have a shred of dignity. I reached for my suitcase, but Willow pressed her hand down on mine. Wait. Her fingers were ice cold, yet they burned like fire against my skin, sending a shiver through me. What else? I forced myself to sound cold. Willow bit her lip, as if torn between choices. Finally, she lifted her head and looked straight into my eyes. Martin was wrong. I will never get back with Makoto. That was never even a possibility. Why? I laughed bitterly. Because he nearly destroyed your company. Come on, Willow. You're the one who said it. There are no permanent enemies in business. That's not the reason. Willow's voice softened suddenly, almost a whisper. It's because I already have someone I like. My heart skipped a beat. Who? Willow didn't answer. Instead, she let go of my hand, walked over to the liquor cabinet, and poured 2 glasses of whiskey. She handed one to me, then tilted back her own and took a long gulp. George. Her voice rasped slightly from the alcohol. If I tell you a secret, can you promise not to run away? I looked at her warily. What secret? Promise me first. Fine, I promise. Willow drew in a deep breath, as if summoning courage. I can hear your thoughts. I froze for a second, then let out a laugh. What? I can hear what you're thinking, Willow said, enunciating every word. Since the day we were preparing for divorce, I suddenly started hearing your thoughts. I stared at her, searching for any sign that she was joking, but her expression was frighteningly serious. You're insane. I took a step back. Mind reading. What is this? A sci-fi movie? Last Wednesday morning, in your head you called me a controlling, OCD ice queen. Willow's voice was calm. And yesterday afternoon, when you saw me talking to Makoto, you thought, they really look like a perfect match. My blood froze in an instant. Those were all things I had thought, things I had never said aloud. And, Willow continued, at the golf course, when you deliberately hit Chairman Ma with the ball, you thought, this will definitely piss her off. The glass slipped from my hand and shattered on the floor, whiskey spilling everywhere. This couldn't be real. It absolutely couldn't be. Prove it. My voice shook. If what you're saying is true, then what am I thinking right now? Willow locked her gaze on mine and slowly said, you're thinking, if this is real, then what about when in the bathroom with her photo? Stop. My face burned scarlet as I cut her off. Enough. I believe you. God. How humiliating. And she actually. My brain short-circuited completely. Willow's lips curved in the faintest smile. Now do you believe me? I collapsed onto the couch, burying my face in my hands. So, for the past 2 months, you've been hearing all my thoughts. Including the ones where I cursed at you. And the dirty ones. Especially those. Willow's tone carried a hint of amusement. I let out a wail, wishing the ground would swallow me whole. Too embarrassing. Never in my life had I felt such shame. Wait, I suddenly realized something. So you already knew I wanted a divorce just for the 50 million? Willow nodded. I knew from the very first day. Then why didn't you expose me? Because, for once, Willow hesitated. At first, I thought it was amusing. Later what? Later, I realized you weren't as shallow as you pretended to be. Willow's voice softened. You worried when I was sick. You showed the best of yourself in front of my parents. You stood up for me when my company was in crisis. I was left speechless. She had known everything. She had seen it all. So, I forced the words out. The reason you kept me was because I like you. Willow met my eyes directly, not contractually, for real. My heart pounded like it had been struck with a hammer. Willow liked me. Willow, the Ice Queen, the untouchable president of the Liu Group. You're joking, right? I stammered. Me, a useless freeloader? How could you possibly? You're not useless. Willow cut me off. You just hide behind a mask. The truth is, you're smarter than most, and kinder than most. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. No one had ever evaluated me like this before, not even my parents. And, Willow added, I've heard all of your inner thoughts, the good and the bad, and I still fell in love with the real you. Her words were like a key, unlocking the tightly sealed door of my heart. Suddenly, I realized why it hurt so much to see her with Makoto. Why the thought of leaving was so unbearable, because, damn it, I had fallen in love with her. Not the fake act written in the contract, not greed for her money, but truly, genuinely in love with this strong, smart, occasionally tender woman. My voice trembled. I like you too. Willow's eyes lit up. Really? Yes, I nodded. Even though you have a bad temper, you're controlling, and you're a workaholic. Willow raised an eyebrow. Are you sure this is a confession? But you are you. I took a deep breath, and I seem to have fallen for exactly who you are. Willow suddenly laughed, the most beautiful smile I had ever seen. She stepped forward and gently hugged me. Then can you not leave now? I hugged her back, breathing in the fragrance of her hair. I'm not leaving. We stayed in each other's arms in the living room, neither of us speaking. After a long while, Willow finally let go of me. By the way, about Martin. How did he find out our secret? I frowned. My guess is he guessed. Willow pondered. He's always wanted to replace me. So maybe he investigated you. And Makoto, I said bitterly. You two looked pretty cozy chatting tonight. Willow rolled her eyes. I was trying to get information out of him. He was indeed involved in shorting the Liu Corporation. But the evidence isn't enough yet. So you're using him. Willow gave a sly smile. Just like you once planned to use me to get 50 million. My face flushed. Can we let that one go already? No way. Willow poked my chest. I'm going to tease you about it for the rest of your life. Fine. Anyway, I've got nothing now. I sighed dramatically. Didn't get the money, and even lost myself in the process. Willow suddenly grew serious. George, about that. If you really want the money, stop. I covered her mouth. If I took the money and left now, wouldn't that make me a real jerk? Willow pulled my hand down. I'm being serious. If you have your own career plans, I do have an idea. I hesitated. You once said I could work at the Liu Corporation. Does that still stand? Willow's eyes lit up. Of course. But I don't want special treatment, I said firmly. I want to prove with my own ability that I deserve you. Willow's gaze softened. Silly. You've always deserved me. A rush of heat filled my chest, and I lowered my head to kiss her. Willow's lips were softer than I had imagined, carrying the mellow taste of whiskey. She responded to my kiss, her fingers clutching tightly at my collar. Just as we were lost in each other, Willow's phone suddenly rang. She glanced at it impatiently. Then her expression changed drastically. It's an emergency call from the company. Answer it. I released her. Willow picked up, her face growing more and more tense. When did this happen? All right, I'll be there right away. What happened? I asked the moment she hung up. It's bad. Willow's face was pale. Martin and the core team resigned together and poached several of our major clients. At the same time, rumors about product quality issues in the Liu Corporation have exploded online, and the stock price is plummeting. I sucked in a sharp breath. Makoto's doing. It has to be him and Martin working together. Willow had already regained her composure and strode toward the study. I need to deal with this immediately. I followed her. What can I do to help? Without looking up as she opened her laptop, Willow said, help me contact several mainstream media outlets and prepare a clarification statement. Then check the background of those clients to see if there's any chance of salvaging them. Understood. President Liu. I gave a half-joking salute. Willow glanced up at me, the corner of her mouth lifting. Welcome to the Liu Corporation. Consultant Wang. The next 72 hours, we barely slept. Willow handled crisis PR and internal stability, while I used my expertise in analysis and media connections to help her organize information and craft strategies. Through this process, I saw a whole new side of Willow, resilient, decisive, unflinching in the face of danger. Even in the company's biggest crisis in history, she never once showed panic. That strength, more than her beauty, made me utterly captivated. On the third day at dawn, when we finally brought the situation under control, Willow collapsed asleep at her desk. I gently picked her up, ready to carry her back to the bedroom. Just then, her phone vibrated. A new message flashed across the screen. From Makoto. The game has just begun. Either leave George, or watch the Liu Corporation go bankrupt. Your choice. Chapter 11. My blood turned cold in an instant. So all of this was because of me. I stared at the message, my fingers unconsciously tightening. That bastard Makoto, he was actually threatening Willow to leave me with the entire Liu Corporation as leverage. Willow stirred slightly in my arms, her brows knitting as if even in her sleep she could sense my anger. I took a deep breath, carried her carefully into the bedroom, and gently laid her on the bed. The moment her head touched the pillow, she curled up like a tired child. I pulled the blanket over her and couldn't resist pressing a kiss to her forehead. Back in the study, I picked up her phone again. Rationally, I knew I should wake her up and discuss a countermeasure, but looking at her exhausted face, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. She had barely slept these past 3 days, and now she was finally resting. I put down the phone and opened my own laptop. Since Makoto had declared war, I had to be prepared. He wasn't the first to underestimate me, and he wouldn't be the last. The bluish glow of the screen lit my face in the darkness as I quickly dug through every piece of public information on Makoto and the Ito Corporation. Financial reports, merger records, media coverage, any clue that might be useful. By the time dawn broke, I finally found a breakthrough. An investment in Southeast Asia that the Ito Corporation made last year had problems. The public data didn't match the reports from local media, and the CEO of the acquired company had suddenly resigned recently, posting some telling complaints on social media. I noted down all the leads and was about to dig deeper when the study door quietly opened. "You didn't sleep all night." Willow stood at the door, already dressed in professional attire, her hair still damp, clearly fresh from a shower. "Yeah, I found something." I rubbed my sore eyes. "Look at this." Willow walked over and leaned down to look at my screen. The faint scent of her body wash drifted into my nose, distracting me for a moment. "You suspect the Ito Corporation of financial fraud?" Willow immediately caught the key point. "Not just that." I opened another file. "The core tech team of the company they acquired all resigned, but the Ito Corporation is still using their patents for promotion." Willow's eyes lit up. "Which means Makoto's overseas acquisition is just an empty shell," I said excitedly. "He spent a fortune buying nothing but useless patents, while the real valuable talent has already left." Willow nodded thoughtfully. "If we can prove this, the Ito Corporation's stock price will crash." I finished her thought. "And I found out they have a large debt payment coming due soon." Suddenly, Willow cupped my face and kissed me hard. "George, you're a genius." My face flushed red. "And not bad, but..." Willow's expression turned serious again. "We need solid evidence, not just speculation." "I have a way." I gave a mysterious smile. "Remember I said I used to help a friend with business analysis? Actually, it's a small team specializing in digging into corporate backgrounds. They can help us go deeper." Willow raised an eyebrow. "You have resources like that?" "College buddy, now a private investigator." I pulled out my phone. "Want me to contact them?" Willow nodded. "Do it immediately. At the same time, we need to stabilize the company." She picked up her own phone, saw Makoto's text message, and her expression darkened. "So it really was him. You already suspected?" "Yes." Willow let out a cold laugh. "Such dirty tricks, it fits his style perfectly." I hesitated. "Willow, if things really get worse, you could." "Could what?" Willow's sharp gaze cut through me. "Leave you." I lowered my head. "I don't want to see you lose the company you built from scratch." "George." Willow lifted my chin, forcing me to meet her eyes. "Listen carefully. Even if the Liu Corporation really goes bankrupt, I will never bow to Makoto. A company can be rebuilt, but there's only one of you." My heart felt like it had been struck hard, aching and swelling at the same time. When did this woman, once so cold and untouchable, learn to say things like this? And besides, Willow released me, a cold smile curling on her lips. "We haven't lost yet. The following 2 weeks, we worked as if we were at war." Sure enough, my investigator friend dug up lethal dirt on the Ito Corporation. Not only did their Southeast Asia acquisition have issues, but several of their domestic projects also showed serious violations. Meanwhile, Willow stabilized the company internally, reorganized the team, and even recruited top industry talents to fill the void Martin left behind. I focused on analyzing market data and helping her craft counterattack strategies. We coordinated seamlessly, like partners who had been working together for years. Sometimes just a glance from Willow was enough for me to understand her thoughts, and I was getting better and better at reading her micro-expressions and subtle gestures. That night, we finally compiled all the evidence, ready to expose the Ito Corporation scandals to the media the next day. Willow set down the last document and let out a long sigh. "Finally done." She stretched, her shirt riding up with the motion, revealing a strip of fair skin at her waist. My eyes were drawn to it involuntarily, and my throat tightened. Over the past 2 months, though we had confirmed our relationship, because of the corporate crisis and constant pressure, we had never taken things further. Willow noticed my gaze, raised an eyebrow, and asked, "What are you looking at?" "Nothing." I quickly shifted my eyes away, pretending to straighten the papers. "Just thinking you look really beautiful." The room suddenly grew quiet, broken only by the sound of shuffling papers. I could feel Willow's eyes on me, but I didn't dare look up. "George," she spoke suddenly, her voice softer than usual. "We've won." I raised my head and met her bright eyes. "We'll only know for sure tomorrow." No, we've already won. Willow stood up, circled around the desk, and stopped in front of me. Makoto can't threaten us anymore. She was so close I could smell the faint fragrance of her perfume. My heartbeat quickened, and sweat dampened my palms. Willow, my voice tightened. Do you know what you're doing? I do. She leaned down, bracing her hands on the arms of my chair, trapping me between her and the seat. I'm seducing my husband. My brain short-circuited instantly. Willow had never used a word like seduce, nor taken the initiative like this. Are you sure? I swallowed hard. We have a press conference tomorrow, which is why we need to relax tonight. Willow's fingers traced lightly along my collar. Unless you don't want to. I grabbed her wrist and stood abruptly, pressing her against the desk. You're playing with fire, President Liu. Willow's breathing quickened, but her eyes remained defiant. So what? I lowered my head and kissed her, fiercer than ever before. Willow responded instantly, her fingers sliding into my hair, pulling me closer. The documents on the desk scattered onto the floor, but who cared? At that moment, my world was only Willow, her breath, her warmth, the quickening of her breathing in my ear. Wait. Willow suddenly pushed me back, her cheeks flushed. Let's go to the bedroom. I scooped her up into my arms and strode toward the master bedroom. Willow felt impossibly light in my embrace, yet filled me with a sense of unparalleled fulfillment. I kicked the bedroom door shut behind us, and we poured 2 years of restraint and longing into that night. When Willow trembled beneath me, reaching her peak, I felt as though I had conquered the entire world. Afterward, I held her close, my fingers absent-mindedly tracing circles on her smooth back. Leaning against my chest, Willow's breathing slowly steadied. Does it hurt? I asked softly. A little, she admitted honestly, but her lips curved in a satisfied smile. But it's good. I kissed the top of her head. I thought you'd be more experienced. Willow pinched me. And what exactly do you think I am? No, I hurried to explain. I just mean, you're so outstanding, and you've had so many admirers. Work kept me too busy, Willow said softly. And besides, I never met someone I truly wanted to be with, until you met me. I asked shamelessly. Willow shot me a glare. Don't get cocky. I just couldn't get rid of you. I laughed loudly, flipping her beneath me. Then let me annoy you once more. Her protest was swallowed by my kiss. That night, we explored each other's bodies like two explorers discovering a new continent, tirelessly giving and taking. Chapter 12. The next morning, when the alarm went off, I forced my sore eyes open. Willow was already awake, leaning against the headboard reading documents. She was wearing my shirt, her hair casually tied up. Morning. She didn't even look up. The press conference starts at 10. You have an hour to get ready. I propped myself up and kissed her bare shoulder. Did you sleep well last night? Willow finally set down the papers and turned to look at me. You already know the answer. Her lips were slightly swollen, and there were marks on her neck that I had left. Seeing these battle trophies, I couldn't help but grin smugly. Stop grinning. Willow gave me a push. Get up. Today's important. Yes, President Liu. I gave her a mock salute, jumped out of bed, and rushed into the bathroom. The press conference was packed with reporters. Willow stood on stage in a sharp white suit, speaking with confidence and grace as she presented the evidence of the Ito Corporation's violations. Based on these facts, Willow concluded calmly, we have submitted a formal report to the Securities Commission, and we will take legal action to protect our rights. Reporters snapped photos furiously, the flashing lights blinding. I stood in a corner of the room, watching the radiant Willow on stage, my chest swelling with pride. Just then, my phone vibrated. It was a message from my investigator friend, Bombshell. Makoto Ito suspected of insider trading. Evidence sent to your email. I immediately opened my email and quickly scanned the attachments. It truly was a bombshell. Records of Makoto buying massive amounts of put options just before shorting the Liu Corporation. I quickly caught Willow's eye from the stage. She understood instantly. After answering the current question, she said, "Excuse me, I've just received an important update." Then she revealed the new discovery. The room erupted into chaos, and several reporters immediately started live broadcasts. Within half an hour, Ito Corporation's stock price plunged, forcing Makoto into an emergency trading halt. When the conference ended, Willow was surrounded by a swarm of media. I stood at the outer edge, watching her handle every question with composure and confidence, my heart brimming with pride. Mr. Wang, a familiar voice came from behind me. I turned to see Martin standing there. His suit was wrinkled, his face haggard and exhausted. Vice President Martin, I said coldly, what do you want? I came to apologize. Martin lowered his head. Makoto lied to me. He said he only wanted President Liu to change her mind. So you betrayed the company, I sneered. And now that you see Makoto about to go down, you come crawling back. Martin's face grew even uglier. Mr. Wang, I've worked at the Liu Corporation for 10 years. Then all the more reason you shouldn't have betrayed Willow. I cut him off. But don't worry, she's already preparing to sue you. Martin's expression turned ashen. No chance at all. None, I said firmly. You make a mistake. You pay the price. Even a child understands that. Martin opened his mouth to say more, but Willow's voice came from behind me. George, let's go. She walked up, naturally linking her arm through mine, without even sparing Martin a glance. How was the press conference? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Very successful. Willow smiled faintly. Makoto should be scrambling in panic right now. We walked out of the venue side by side, the sunlight spilling warmly over us. Shall we celebrate tonight? I suggested in a low voice. Willow raised an eyebrow. And how exactly do you plan to celebrate? You'll find out when we get home. I gave her a mischievous wink. That night, we opened a bottle of champagne at home, celebrating both the resolution of the crisis and our real wedding night. Tipsy, Willow leaned against my chest and suddenly whispered, George, thank you. Thank me for what? Thank you for not leaving, she said softly. Thank you for choosing to stay and fight by my side. A warmth surged through my chest, and I lowered my head to kiss her. Silly, I'm not going anywhere. Moonlight streamed through the curtains, falling across the bed and outlining our entwined silhouettes. That night, we were no longer contract spouses, no longer business partners, just two people in love, embracing the purest intimacy and warmth.